This place holds a dark secret. A secret that not many people know about, and even fewer know why it's there. I think I've discovered how it got there. This whole area outside Sheffield was a vast military training ground for nearly 50 years. Starting at the beginning of the training for the First World War, there are still complexes of tunnels which are now scheduled monuments. There are still trenches from when the troops trained to go to the Somme. In the middle of the First World War, the training ground became a prisoner of war camp. And it held some quite high-profile prisoners. A young U-boat captain called Karl Dönitz was captured when his U-boat developed a mechanical fault. And he was very concerned that the actions he'd done in his part in the war were actually war crimes. And he feared that he would be prosecuted and probably executed for that. He feigned mental problems and had a breakdown. We got psychologists to examine him, and they recommended that he was repatriated. So we sent him back just after the war. Karl Dönitz had a miraculous recovery and continued his military career, eventually becoming an admiral. And at the end of the Second World War, when Hitler died in the bunker, Karl Dönitz took over as Chancellor of Germany for a short spell. Definitely the one that got away. In the Second World War, this area was used for training for the D-Day landings. And once that offensive had started and we were in Germany, winning the war, there were huge numbers of prisoners of war which were sent back to the UK and imprisoned. Lodge Moor, Camp 17, was the largest of those prisoners of war camps. Designed to hold 3,000 people, in the end, the huts, which should have had 30 people in them, had 70. And altogether, there were 11,000, in fact, almost 12,000 at its peak, prisoners of war. The camp was very, very, very much full. And some of the Germans were put, or Germans and other countries, prisoners were put into tents out on the moor in the freezing cold rain, you know, the conditions we get in the Peak District. Awful conditions. And because of the overpopulation, there were huge problems of disease. And even feeding them, we used galvanised dustbins to cook the food, and dysentery and you know, terrible diseases were spread among the prisoners. Really, really bad conditions. And I'm not, you know, it's war, and I'm not saying I'm not saying that all is fair in war, but you know, it's what we had to do. Now, one of the other problems of having such a massive drain on our resources is all our personnel were abroad fighting the war. And we had nobody to help run those camps. So we had to call on the Germans to help. And in the Lodge Moor prisoner of war camp, there were several sections of the camp which had a German commandant running it. We categorised the prisoners according to how radicalised they were with the Nazi regime. And the die-hard Nazis were categorised as the black category. And Lodge Moor was nearly all black category. And the military control that the Germans had of their own prisoner of war camp meant that the Nazi regime was very much continued in the camp. And the Germans were very creative. They published no less than 4 magazines monthly in the camp, and the various art things were done in the camp. They were, clearly very intelligent and cultural people. Don't ask me how, but they could communicate with the other camps in the country. And in the beginning of 1945, the British Secret Service discovered a plot in the Devizes camp, which I think might have been Camp 27, very, very close, within hours of being executed. And they were planning a breakout of no less than 7,000 prisoners. And they would travel up the country to Lodge Moor. And when they got to Lodge Moor, they would liberate 11,000 of the prisoners. And for the Germans, escaping from the prisoner of war camp was not about going home. It was about continuing the war, and continuing the war from behind enemy lines. They had a very thorough plan worked out where they would attack the military establishments between Lodge Moor and the coast. And they would, for example, take over the tank ordnance and get weapons from there and cause as much disruption and drain our resources to the point where it would be very difficult for us to continue our battle. But they were found out. And the morale of the Germans was utterly crushed. They were devastated that their thoughts of, continuing the battle had suddenly gone. And the escape attempts became more and more desperate. And there are records of us capturing escaped prisoners of war in Rotherham and in Doncaster. One group of 16 prisoners escaped and got all the way to Rotherham. Now, even though the records show that nobody escaped from the prisoner of war camp, they got to Rotherham when they recaptured them, so clearly they had escaped and they were just recaptured. And the escape attempts got more and more desperate. They were basically just running for the wire. And because of the fanaticism, and the worry that the British had of their camp being overwhelmed, they used lethal force. And several other prisoners were killed. When they were killed, they didn't escape. They put them in the coffins and put the coffin back in the prisoner of war camp, which sent a strong message and made the Germans even more vehement. On March the 26th, 1945, Emil Schmittendorf and Hans Dimmler escaped by crawling under the wire. They were at liberty for several days and eventually found in Doncaster. But on the way, I think they came here and they left a sign. And I'm going to try to find that today. So we're walking along Green Lane, and this Green Lane was actually worked on by the prisoners of war, probably the Italian prisoners of war, which were the lowest category, which I think might have been white. They often worked in the local area on farms. They were quite trusted, and the local population knew the Italians well. So they were perfectly happy with Italian prisoners of war helping them. And they did lots of work on Green Lane here, because of course this was the military camp and they were helping on it. So the point is that this area would have been known to the prisoners on Lodge Moor. By the way, after my getting caught out by AI, or almost caught out by AI last week, I have checked and double checked the facts that I'm going to tell you today. So there are no, there's no Google hallucinations in this. They are all, I've corroborated them all, usually by 2-3 sources, and some of them are written sources. And there are actually many books published on the situation in this area. So, so I'm not making this up. You can't say to me, "Oh, it's just Google making things up again." It really isn't. That's not 7.62. That's bigger than that. We camped, Shane and I camped here at the beginning of the summer 2025, and we noticed that there'd been a fresh rock fall, and the rock that had fallen was really bright yellow, and we weren't sure whether it was a fresh rock fall. But you can see on here now, just straight in front of us there, that's already starting to age and turn more brown. But just look how much rock is falling down there. You know, that's I don't know, I'd hazard a guess at 20 tonne of rock that's fallen off there. Huge. A bit frightening really. Just pick 3 decent pitches. So a couple of mods I've done. I did this little bit of bungee with a tensioner so I can wrap the guy lines up quickly. I have the intermediate guy points along the side. I took this bit of bungee off and I doubled it through, and to be honest I think I'm going to take this piece of guy off and put a thicker piece of bungee on, because that one's alright, but this one, that one's not too bad. This one, look, I've got the flappiness there, which I'm not sure what to do about that one. And then the other mod, I found it's really difficult to orientate it when you're first laying it out. So I added this little cable tie, and I doubled it around that one, and I put a single one on there and a single one on there. So when I roll the tent out, I know that the fluorescent cable ties are on the door side, and the double tied one is the end with the door on. It's been much easier pitching it today. So all I got to do now, as always, is get that into there. Seek and ye shall find. That's a big one, isn't it? Obviously they've just done one side of it and they made the centre hole. I wonder why they abandoned that one. That's a big millstone. Probably 5 feet. Is it?
Yeah, I'd say 6 plus.
6 feet. That's a huge stone. Yeah, so that's where they've been working it, and probably all these rocks around here are rocks that they've quarried. That were probably going to be one at one point. Oh, you can see it a bit better now. So I can make out, there is the swastika. It says S-T-E-R, stir. There is this sun symbol with the sun's rays coming out of it. And then it says,
Like a sun. Yeah. Is it a star?
That's the swastika there.
Yeah, I see that. Is that
It's like a,
Star of David would.
well, Nazis wouldn't do a Star of David, would they?
No, that's all.
So they could be here carving this, you know, hiding.
Let's take it.
If my theory.
Isn't it? What's this swastika? Yeah.
But it's quite old, but you can see it by how weathered it is. You know, so I think it's contemporary with 1945.
I think that's a star.
It is a star. It's definitely a.
Yeah.
It's definitely a sun, with the rays coming off it. Star shape.
So what would that symbol mean? I have to Google it.
Don't know.
It might mean something to the
Don't know.
old German world. Stir.
And then there's some carved over there, but I think that's different. I'm sure there was a big panel that he showed me as well, with quite a lot of writing on it.
I don't.
There's a gap under the rock where you could easily get 2 people under the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, just be really careful because it's lethal.
Yeah. Wow. So it's almost a cave, isn't it?
Yeah, you could get 2 people could get in there. If you wanted to, you could climb into there.
Yeah.
And 2 people in there are then completely hidden from everyone.
Yeah. All angled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and we're making things up just to fit the story, possibly, but to me that seems quite a sensible thing. And I don't know, when you realise how, you know, you've got no chance in succeeding in your mission. So you carve this, you see really clearly now, you can see at the bottom that says stern with the swastika there. And F-I-R-E-R, firer, possibly. That says stern really clearly, you can see it really obviously now. So it's during the summer, it's 5:15. It's saying we've got sleet now till after 8 o'clock, and then it's saying snow up till midnight, heavy snow through the night right until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, right through till 6 o'clock tomorrow. So, yeah, that's brilliant. All set up. Well, not all set up, no. I've not put my sleep mat out. Got my foul mat down, sat on that. Put my insulated hoodie on, but I've not put my down on yet. don't need to. It's not. Well, I don't feel that cold. Just made myself a cup of tea and a cup of coffee. Of course. Trying out my titanium Petrel stove. What can I say? It's a stove. Very, very light. I think it weighs 49 grams. It boiled okay. I think I should have brought the windshield with it. It does come with a like a foil windshield. So the Nazi symbol. I'm debating whether I actually name it, because the YouTube algorithm might not like that at all. I've no idea what the star symbol is. I'm going to do some research of that now, or the sun symbol that's next to it. The words don't seem to make any sense. Stern and possibly fire, maybe at the top of it. But in that little quarry bit there, two people could easily hide in there, and unless the guards go, unless the people looking for them go right into the quarry and look under all the rocks, which they just didn't have the manpower and the resources to do that. So I reckon that's a really good place for them to hide. How did they know it was there? Don't know. They might have just found it. Might have been that people have worked in the quarry, prisoners of war, and have passed the message on. Who knows? I'm not saying it was definitely those two Germans that did it. I'm not even saying it's Germans that carved those things. Somebody did. So what I did when I found out about them before, Shane and I were camped here, and this John comes walking through and he says, "I'm just looking for that symbol." Again, not using the word. And he, I don't know where he'd found out about it, but I emailed the National Trust and the Peak District Park Authority. Eventually got put through to a historical officer, so he couldn't find it. So I sent him a couple of photos and a geotag location, and he came out and had another look, and he says, "No, it's an undocumented find." He wasn't aware of it. He hasn't seen it referenced to it anywhere. He thinks probably it was done by prisoners of war from the German era. Now again, that's, we've got no proof of that. That's just our hearsay, really. Who knows? Yeah, I have to put me down coat on, because I'm just starting to get a little bit nippy. The temperature is going to gradually. Well, it's not going to change much from this actually. So let's see what temperature we're recording at the moment. So we've got 3 degrees outside, 4 degrees inside. Right, so I've had my main course and my pudding. That sticky toffee pudding and custard. Well worth bringing that gas stove just so I can cook them both together. Lovely and warm. I use the water to make a hot chocolate. And I put the rest of the hot water in my flask, which has a real good seal on it, so that's going to go just by the side of my my mat for the morning. I've got the tent in it open. Disappointed that the OEX lantern, even though I put batteries in it and it didn't go into its demo mode, has cut out and it wasn't on. It was only on 2 hours on the lowest setting. Yeah, I think that will be going back. It gets one more chance. I'm going to put some it had rechargeable batteries in it, so I'm going to put some normal batteries in and see. So I've gone back to the Flextail one, but I've had it on minimal, so it's on now. It'll be going off. I've used my head torch on its low setting. I've got a spare. Well, I've got a spare 2 head torches actually, just right by my side, so I can get them. My phone is in this breast pocket, and I'll be putting that on charge shortly. It's down to about 60% now. The forecast is it's going to start snowing very soon. The forecast has been pretty accurate. Probably about an hour late, and I thought that meant it wouldn't affect when the snow arrived, because, well, when it gets cold and it starts snowing, won't it? But possibly the snow will be an hour late. So yeah, if I see any during the night or hear any during the night, I will I'll flick it open and give you a shot of it. But
good morning, folks. Had as forecast, snow in the night. Very sleety. I think when I filmed during the night it was 2 or 3 inches thick. It's not now. It's 1.5 inches. It's sleeting now. I don't think the snow's going to be around for long, although it's set to be like this, coming down pretty much all day, which is good fun. Great night's sleep. I've got I bought a Sea to Summit liner. I've done that awful task that campers have to face, washing your sleeping bag this week. So I bought a kit off Amazon, some drying balls and things in it. Took a lot of drying. I think I put it in 3 cycles in my dryer, and then it still felt damp, but you're never quite sure. It's just cold. So I put it in my on my radiator for a bit, and it's much better now. In the Otimos, I slept with my head in the door side, not the wider end. I think probably it's better sleeping at this end. You're quite boxed in there, and the top of the tent's quite close to your head, obviously. This way around you've got all of this space, and I'm saying all of this space, it's a lot more space than that one. You've got access to the door a bit better from there. I wanted to keep peeking out to have a look at the weather. So I think sleeping at this end, and plus you've got all of these storage options, plus this space at your side at the end, so I think that probably is the better as it's designed to be used. So I'm going to use my alcohol stove this morning. Just going to boil some water for some drinks, brush my teeth and things. So yeah, nothing to report back. You probably heard I'm quite croaky. That's remnant of a cold. It wears off quite quickly. I think that it has done in the past. So kept some remnants of the boiled water in my flask. So it won't be freezing cold, but it will be cold. So I'll use that for brushing my teeth and things. I've got plenty of water. Okay, so I'll turn you off now and then come back. We're just saying about the condensation on the inside of the tent. The predicted temperature is -1. It isn't quite down to that. It's hovering around about 0. The dew point is -2, so there's only 1 degree difference. So the air's pretty saturated, and in fact, looking outside, it's very claggy, even though there is sleet coming down. So the air's full of moisture, so it's going to deposit, pretty rapidly on any surfaces. There's no condensation at all on the tent inner. Oh, it's a little bit on the back. Just seen this little trough here. It had the sides broken off. I don't know how far back it goes. I'm not going to move the grass. But there's a wall goes along here and along there. So a little square-shaped building. I bet this was the blacksmith's forge. A little workshop for him, maintaining the tools for the quarry. And you can see in front there's another building. So that'll be one building there and this one here with a trackway running in between, like 2 little fortress huts. The rest of the village. You get retained moisture, don't you, and that makes you cold. But puts the boiling water in, you put the ziploc in, and then he takes it home. Right, great camp. Nothing left. We've been very careful. So easy walk back to the van. So that's the swastika in the quarry. Well, I've certainly got a possible cause to it. Looking in the quarry, there's loads of those big blocks of stone. There's loads of bits underneath where you can hide. And I'm convinced that was the story. We'll escape POWs. Spent the night in the quarry, or maybe the daytime in the quarry. Because the elephant in the room is, how did they carve the rock without making a racket? That would have drawn attention to them straight away. And what is the meaning of that star symbol, that sun star symbol? Who knows? So, thank you for watching. Thank you for getting to here. We're off on our way now. Blooming great camp. Best camp ever. Has to be said. See you later. Here we are. Look at this, animal footprints.